you know, there's some people that, I've always had this relationship with Lou. It's like I could not talk to him for 15 years and it's, you know, boom. Immediately connected. And that's the way it is with people that are in the school.
If we were older, then we wouldn't have to wait so long. And wouldn't it be nice?
How we got the teachers, how we got the supplies. And, you know, a couple things, and this really just, I haven't thought about this in so long, but as George was talking, it came to me. You know, we're in the Unitarian church that was in Rutherford.
We can work it out. We can work it out.
And they did not want us to be, well, it was split. There was this whole battle between the Unitarians, the younger Unitarians and the older Unitarians, and the older Unitarians wanted to kick us out, and the younger Unitarians wanted to keep us in. And so let me give you a personal lesson. I was thinking very politically in terms of how do we get the school to stay here? And I became a Unitarian. This is a true story. I became a Unitarian, and I went out into Rutherford where I knew a couple of families, and I started lobbying to get the Unitarian vote to allow us to stay in the school. And it came to the big day of the vote, and I had gotten about 8 or 9 Unitarians that hadn't been in the church for years. And they came in and they paid their dues, and it came the day of the vote. They found this little rule that said that you had to be an active Unitarian for at least 6 months prior to the vote, and we lost by 2 votes. All right, one school story. Another one when we were in Rutherford, and this is when we got Elena, who was an A student in the school system, and when she came to us, they started getting nervous that we were going to be taking the really good students. They didn't care, you know. But when they realized that the Free School of Bergen County was actually going to be a threat, the Board of Education took a vote and threatened to shut us down. Yeah, and so in Rutherford. In Rutherford. And so, you know, we had a whole big battle, and I got a call. I'll never forget this. I got a call from the attorney for the Board of Education, and they said, we are coming over to shut the school down. And so I went out and got the ACLU and got them to agree to represent us. So they sent us a letter and all that stuff. So I said, well, we're ready to go to court. They said, well, we're going to give you a month to figure this out. And of course, then I knew we had them. They really were going to do anything, they'd do it right then. So I said, we don't need a month, pal. Come after us right now. And they never did.
Last time they messed with the Unitarians.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, there's a whole lot of those types of experiences that while we were dealing with personal responsibility, what it means, you know, to Lou's point, what it means to be a teacher. There's a lot of struggling around that issue for me. And the one thing I can tell you is that the way that you've all turned out, I don't take any responsibility for. But I can't tell you.
Take all the credit, though.
I can't tell you how absolutely thrilled I am, and what an amazing experience this is, and to have you all still in my life is a huge gift. Thanks.
Super drastic change for me from where I was before I went to the school. I was like a street gangs in Patterson, and Noah and I were the first urban area guys to go to the school. Yeah. When Noah first met me, I was like sharpening my arsenal. Talked about that on the way up. But then I was thrust into this. As a matter of fact, there's a chance, I told you, hitchhiking. George picked us up hitchhiking, and we ended up going to a meeting, and things went on from there.
Wow.
All the pieces fit together.
You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go.
All right, no way. But what we did learn is that we had core values that I don't think we could have got anywhere else. We had a love and a trust amongst ourselves that immediately being part of that thing, it brought a wall down. Okay, and what we learned is that we could kind of wing this because we can get the knowledge later. We need this core, this love and trust core and this body of people, and then the knowledge, it's easy to get the knowledge. We can do that. And I think that's the whole wing thing. And that's what is why we're like that, I think. That's why 15 years passes and it's like nothing. You know what I mean? It's like you're the same person, that core was built at that time. And that's what, like Dick said, you can't explain that to people. It doesn't come across. You had to have been a part of it. Some people are fortunate enough to get that in different ways, but it was so prevalent. And I don't know if another time would have done it. I don't know. I don't know if that could have happened at another time, but that's just what made us, I think, what we are. And that's what the thing that keeps us here, I think. You know, that's
Well said.
Who was one of the last people then? Who's here who was like 70? When were you here? When did you, how late were you there, Sarah?
I think I was there till 7. You gotta fight for your right to
Till 76?
like this, isn't it?
And what was going on at that point?
It's funny, because it's funny that you ask. I was sitting there thinking about sort of mostly feeling like I didn't have something particular to say because sort of the significant years for me in a way were the years before I went to the free school because Simon was there. And it was a really different experience. It was kind of, I was doing other things. I was doing not much. And I wasn't going to school much during that time. And I was kind of hanging out, I think, and I was on the fringe. And by the time I was in the school, it was, things had shifted. There was a sense of community, but it wasn't as immediate. It was more in sort of ideology. We knew we were there for the same reasons, and we connected, but I don't think it had the same, I don't know, depth or cohesiveness maybe, or mission or something. So what I was sitting here thinking was that maybe, it kind of felt like that to me, but listening to all of this has made me think about what it was like. And or what it was for me. What role did it play? Since it didn't as much play that community role, it did. It kind of, this is hard to say, which is why I'm sounding a little shaky. What it did for me was give me a place that felt at that point safer and more accepting or something than my family. And that's really what the role it played for me. So it doesn't answer the question, except to say that free school had shifted at that point. It didn't do all of this, but it was really important. I just realized it's really sitting here that was the real value.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.
It's very good.
I want to build on what Sarah said and what Gary said, because I kind of feel both things. I'm not going to say it as eloquently as Gary or as touchingly as Sarah did, but I was a mixed up misfit of a teenager. I couldn't make it in the public system. I didn't know where I was going to make it, and by sheer chance, like some people said, the time or whatever, and just chance of networking, I ended up at free school, and my family was in disarray. My parents had split up, and so my family dynamic and my social dynamic was very strange. And as somebody said, we didn't learn academically, but as Gary said, we learned core values. I learned that there were very decent people in the world, like Lou Tucker and Pete Denisha and Terry Reedy, and that they cared about me. And they were good, decent people. And I got such a feeling from that's carried me through to my adulthood.